Flipped Classroom Productions presents screencast number 1, Formative Margin Comments. Hi, I'm Greg McGuff. I am an English language arts teacher at Penn Manor High School. I'd like to share with you a screencast dealing with formative margin comments. Most typical English classrooms in the past have taught grammar in isolation. We do worksheets that culminate in a final assessment, and a lot of teachers are complaining that it's not transferring over to student writing. And as a result, I had to come up with something new, so I invented formative margin comments. This is where I take student writing and turn it into the worksheets themselves. I allow students to go back and fix every piece of their writing as many times as they want until they get a final grade that they're happy with. The way I do this, or sort of come about this, is by making all of my comments on the left-hand side of the red margin line. To the right is the student work, and I allow that to stay the student work. I don't brainstorm for them, I don't rough draft for them, and I'm certainly not going to write their final draft for them. I'm not sure why I, for a number of years, was doing most of their editing for them. As a result, now I do teach the grammar concepts to them during class, and then I do expect them to demonstrate that across in their writing. When they fall short of that, I mark those for the students to be able to go back and make the changes. In order to do this, I've had to use an internal coded symbol in order to mark most of the errors, common errors that I'm seeing in their writing. In the margin, you'll see on the left-hand side, when you receive your paper back, you'll see an F for focus, and a C for content, an O for organization, an S for style, and a check mark for conventions. Every single one of those areas will show up in the left-hand margin at some point throughout the paper. Now I'd like to take you through those specific symbols and what they mean. Focus is first. Are you on topic? This is an easy one. This is if the prompt is asking you to write to a specific topic. Are you writing to that topic? An example I have down below here is if a prompt is asking you to explain why the job you're applying for is a good match for your professional interest. Don't write about how your brothers and your friends are interested or are working in a similar field. It doesn't match the topic. You want to make sure you match your topic. Content. Have you provided enough support? In this one, it's either feast or famine. Kids are either not giving enough information to support their claim or opinion, or conversely, they're giving way too much information and they're jamming too much in, and it confuses the reader. Organization. I would like to give freedom in organization to allow the writer to share his or her ideas in a manner that they see fit to use, but in order to get students started and so that we can break through some writer's block, I do have a very simple organization technique that I do sort of encourage my students to use, and it's the description, interpretation, and outcome process. In the very beginning, the very first sentence or two, the student writes what the topic is or the concept being written about. In the second part of the paragraph, they interpret. This is where they give me their opinions and their reasons and support. And that's usually 4 to 5 sentences. And then finally, I want an outcome. And this is sort of the moment of revelation. What did they come to? What realization did they come to? And how has their opinion changed, or their learning experience? How has it altered them as a student? Finally, style is an interesting one. I really am nervous about style because there's so much. Style is such a broad category. And in this case, I'm looking at, if you stop the tape and the webcast and take a look at what I've provided here, I've focused on one of my personal issues when it comes to student style, and that's the use of second person, dropping into using the word you, where the writer is actually talking to the reader. This is usually used in formats similar to the one that I'm using right now, where you are talking to the reader and you do want to call attention to things to the reader. But in most cases in student writing, we're looking for first person pronouns and third person pronouns. And first person, remember, the I, me, my, and the third person pronouns are he, she, they. Those usually are more desirable in student writing, and you see examples down below. Conventions, these are the grammar errors that do hinder a writer's purpose. I do look at 4 focus areas: fragments and run-ons, sentence structure, subject-verb agreement, pronoun-antecedent agreement. They are not assessed until they're addressed. And so we begin with fragments and run-ons, and once I've taught those concepts to the students, you will see those particular errors being marked in their papers, and then sentence structure, then subject-verb agreement, and then finally pronoun-antecedent agreement. And so it allows the students to sort of focus on key areas in order to improve their writing. The next step in the process of the symbol is a plus or a minus. Plus means that the element is adding to the overall quality of the paper. Minus is that the element is subtracting from the overall quality of the paper. In some cases, they might be doing something with their style that's incredibly positive, and I want to make sure that I highlight that as well as mark out those areas that I think the student needs help in. So this is what a final marginal grading example looks like, and you'll see that this is a focus error where the thesis is not direct enough or doesn't focus on answering the prompt clear enough, and that's why it is detracting from the overall quality of the paper. The paper will skew at this point or will shift focus and go off in a direction that will hinder the writer's purpose, something that we really want to make sure that students aren't doing. When I do make marks, you'll notice that the marks, when you receive your papers, will either be on the horizontal or on the vertical. Horizontal means that the error is usually housed somewhere on that line, whereas on the vertical, it spans 3 or 4 lines. And so the student will have to determine, using those sort of codes and their placement, how to go into the writing and make those changes. And I feel very comfortable as an English teacher giving students points back if they do go back to their work and they revisit it and they edit it and they find those errors and they fix those errors and highlight them for me. And what happens is this differentiates the writing instruction for the students and allows them to see how grammar truly impacts their particular writing and makes their writing stronger and more academic. Thank you very much. This has been a very quick screencast in margin comments and formative assessment. Have a great day.